Good afternoon and welcome back to my world. It's me, it's Ryan, and this cup of coffee. Good to see you. So, I hope from the last time we spent some time together, you did take some time to Google me. My name is Kenny Glick. I've been trading for 30 years, and I will go ahead and say 2025 is by far, there isn't a comparison. This is the greatest year of trading in the history of trading. You might have had better years, and I've certainly had better years due to circumstances. But the wonderful opportunity that the market bestows us each day has never been so abundant as it is in 2025. For longs and for shorts, even though it's been a very difficult market to short in, we have picked our spots and have done extremely well. And if you are out there and you've made it this far, as far as trading, congrats. There's not many people out there that have been doing this as long as I have. And at this point, they're starting to call me the grandfather of day trading. I'm kind of insulted, but I do have gray in the beard and I am bald. So, and my kids are of my son, he's 23. So, you know, I might be a grandpappy sooner or later anyway, right? But the reason they call me that is that I have lived many lives, and a lot of what we do today, I invented, and especially the trade that we continuously take. And maybe this is the first time you're seeing me, so stare deep into my eyes. You ready? I have a trade that we've been tracking for over 10 years, and the win rate has been enormous. Over the last 3 years, we've had 1,104 of them show up. It's a very specific setup. And over the last 3 years, 1,104 of those trades have provided profitable trades. And today was 1,105 in a row, not one loss. And I'm not saying that we haven't had losing trades. I'm saying this specific setup, when it shows up, and today there's only one, and you guessed it, it worked, and it was PayX. That's right. Check it out. So, what we have done, and this is the reason this is special. Let me get the screen up for you. All right. I should be below, and if you want to put me on the side, I think you could alter it wherever you want. But now, as long as you can hear my voice, it's not about my face. Now that you've gazed deep into my eyes. But actually, before we go on, why don't you gaze into my eyes one more time? Ryan, if you can, close up. You ready? If you haven't embraced VWAP yet, I want you to close your eyes and just dream of profits and being a consistently good trader. And now, here's your mantra. Breathe in the VWAP and breathe out the Goldman Sachs. Breathe in the VWAP and breathe out the doubt. Breathe in the VWAP and breathe out my refrigerator beeping in the other room. I guess I left the fridge open. All right. So we taking the rest of this day serious? What's going on? Let me just talk to my corporate overlord, see if we're going to run this thing. All right. All right. Everything's still up and running. Internet, you got me. Ryan's got me. Everybody's got me. So my friends over at StockTwits, if you don't know, um, I'm not joking. I've been doing this since inception. And if you'd really like to get to know me a little bit better, email me. We're probably going to get together Thursday night for what we call the schmooze. I need to do it because I'm leaving on Friday. And normally when I leave and I go to Georgia, something bad happens in the market. So I'm gonna show you a couple of things to prepare for that in case it does happen. But Thursday nights we gather, we talk about options, usually a lot about weekly options, earnings reports, market environment. We have a couple of guests, we play some music, and it's a good chance to get to know us, on a daily basis. Get to know what I do every day. I do 4 hours of live commentary on a daily basis, trying to find ideas live. Right now, we were in the process. Well, we bought some SRAD just a little while ago off these lows. Not my favorite trade. I just got down to some support levels that I like the stock. That was dollar cost averaging. But mostly what we do is just blue line and orange line trades. So this trade right here is our bread and butter. So earlier, what a Faux-Show-Bro is, it's a fake out, a shakeout, and a breakout. That's where the faux and the show come from. Fake out is the FO, show, shakeout, and then the breakout. And if you haven't noticed, and I'm sure you have, or you've been a victim to it, because stocks will break a new low, you get out, and oh man, then the stock started going up without me. Yes, because that's how it's built. The system is built to get the last seller out at the worst price, then the reversal happens. That's why we've been calling it the Faux-Show-Bro since 1997. It's not a new trade, but what is new is VWAP to me. I've only been using VWAP exclusively since 2012, really since 2015, because my feeble mind didn't appreciate how important it was. For a good 2 years. I was loosely using it. Now it's all I use. So the trade that I used to make money on was a reversal trade, the Faux-Show-Bro reversal. So they would fake you out, they would shake you out, and then the stock would break the 930 high of the day, and we would be buying it on the momentum burst, that faking out and shaking out and then breaking out. But we would buy the breakout of the 930 high candle. Now, on the trade that's been working pretty much since 97, now I trade exclusively around VWAP. So if there's a faux show underneath VWAP, I buy the VWAP break. I don't wait till it breaks the 930 high candle. So you got fake out, shake out, VWAP break. We're buyers. It didn't really do too much, but 794 got us 808, a little payday, wound up going down, wound up getting out flat on the rest. But then faux, show, back above VWAP, bought it again, same price, 795, and you're using the faux and the shows as your out. In this case, then we got a little bit more of a bro. And that's a wonderful trade, because if you're buying $8 stocks as a typical day trader, what are you talking? Maybe a couple thousand shares to start, right? Maybe 3 or 4,000. You buy yourself 3 or 4,000, you sell your first 1,000 right there for about $180. Sell the other one for another 250. Now you got 400 bucks. Starts to rally, starts to roll, wind up selling at 825, and you got yourself a $500 or $600 trade on top of the other 250, just on the same name, right? Then just now, that trade just showed up. We love ourselves some open, don't we? Who doesn't? I trade the stock every day, and I've been trading the stock every day for almost 6 months. Before it got exciting, we were on this name when it came out of the pennies, at about $1. And I've been hip to it ever since, and I've been trading it every day. It's fantastic, short and long. But today, we just took advantage of it because it usually gets bought on dips. So Faux-Show-Bro, Faux-Show-Bro, and if you missed all those wonderful Faux-Show-Bros earlier, here it is again. See how it held the VWAP, then it rolled. That's the fake out. That's the shakeout. So then it got back above the VWAP. I'm a buyer here at 810. And I'm only using the faux and the shows. So I'm buying it here. Sorry, it was 813. I bought it 813. And I'm using the faux 809. And I'm using the show 805, 806 as my outs. If I'm wrong, I'm going to sell the first 1,000 there, the second 1,000 there. But we weren't wrong. Sold the first 1,000 there, a little premature. Sold another some at 825, and then we got to the prior day VWAP. Was hoping to see a lot more, but now we're rolling over, and the stop that we have left is that pivot point in the middle. But you know, a lot of what this trade did, and again, this is how I trade all the time. And on days where we're going sideways, my style of trading is the only style. My style of trading you're going to be frustrated with on the super bullish days because I sell into the moves, and then what happens is the stock keeps going and going, and inevitably you don't have any, and you're all pissed off, and you're like, why did I just sell this at 812? I should have held on. And the shouldas will kill you because you always think you would be doing something differently because the stock did something. That's how we work, our brains. But try to be honest with yourself. And if you stick to my rules and the way I trade, you'll always be locking into profits when there's profits to be locked into, because we're always selling into the move, assuming it's going to get roll over and die. We trade to make money. So if you're in and you're making some money, you sell some. And yeah, sure. The other day when I sold Faux-Show and watched it go up 38 points after I sold, wasn't very fun. I will admit. Selling it at 27, 28 bucks and watching it rip 18 points after I got out, it's pretty sickening. But at the same time, you got to remember all the times where you sold a stock and it actually went down after you sold out of it. Point is, if you follow the rules all the time, inevitably you're going to come out ahead. And if you only take a trade that works so well, like the KMX today, I mean, KMX was yesterday. I'll show you that one too. I remember KMX. That was way back yesterday. Or was that 2 days ago? I'm starting to forget now which day is which. I know CCL was yesterday. KMX was on Friday. What happened? So here, PayX. And you see why it's still a long, right? Because the way we trade, let's say you got your faux, you got your show, you're getting your bro. On the broing, as it's broing, you got $122 stock. Our default for $122 stock is you should make 2.5 points minimum on the trade. That's your goal. 225.50 gets you 225. Sorry, 125. We haven't got 125 yet, so it's been a slow grind. But the trader that bought this properly, there's the fake out, there's the shakeout, there's the VWAP break. The trader that bought this at 21.50 has already sold some at 22.50. The trader that bought this just got back to the highs of the day. They're selling some here because we do things where stocks, look what happened here before, look what happened here. You're at that price again, so now you're selling it. And now you should say, but Kenny, the orange line is up there. Right. That's why you don't sell it all at one price, because you're expecting it to get to the orange line. And it's easy for you to hold now because you've sold some here and here. And now that last pullback area, look at that, right smack dab in the middle, that would be your stop. So now to stay a profitable trader, you raise your stop. You're hoping for more and expect more, right? Because most of the time we do get to the orange line. Today's VWAP usually reversion back to prior day VWAP once you have some momentum in that direction. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. You're at a very specific spot right now, high of the day from the 9:30 candle. That's why you're a seller of some more here if you haven't sold yet. But you're really expecting it to go here now, right? So now you just raise your stop to that last pullback area. And that's how you do it. So what you're witnessing right now is what I do on a daily basis. We just walk you through the trades. I'm not in all the trades, and sometimes you don't want me to be in the trade. Because once I get into a trade, first of all, I do a lot less talking. And also, I might have a bad day that day, and maybe the ones that I do stink. That's why we take them all. If there's an earnings reversal, I don't care what stock it is, like CCL, I don't know if you trade CCL yesterday, phenomenal short. You went back to it today, phenomenal short. 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal, 1 minute multi-day VWAP collision. That's telling you right there that the sellers are in control. Another nice short opportunity. So as we go through the day's events, as we go through these trades on a daily basis, what I try to do is provide you with the good idea, but also give you the education of why it's a good idea, and when it's not, or when a good idea turns bad, how to navigate that, which is the most important part, how to address loss. And with every trade that we put on, your entry points are usually so good that when the trade doesn't work, it's a very small loss. So if you're always taking risk trades, or your risk reward is always in your favor, what does it come down to? It comes down to you. And in that moment, you have to make that final decision. Hey, I'm supposed to be selling this stock because it's breaking that level. But if you say to yourself, well, let's see what happens, you've already broken the law. There's rules. The yellow line in certain circumstances is, well, it's always prior day VWAP. In certain circumstances, depending on where the stock has been over the last couple of days, you'll have it above the blue line. In certain circumstances, if the stock has been trading lower and we are making new highs, quite often the prior day VWAP will be below. And in those circumstances, you trade exactly the same. You're just, the blue line's below orange. If you get momentum, orange becomes the target, and then hopefully new support. In the cases where the orange line's below today's blue VWAP, if you get a breakdown and you're a shorter, you're looking to cover at prior day VWAP. And also, if you get down to the prior day VWAP and the holds, that's where you could form new long positions. So we're fluid. This is an active trading environment, and VWAP is the only thing you need to navigate the chop. And you know, that's why I don't mind days like today where we're going sideways, because that's my style anyway. But here, let's take a look at one that's still in trend, NVIDIA, right? So you got the fake out, shake out. There's your VWAP break, right? And then here's that circumstance. So it broke today's VWAP, but it came right back to prior day VWAP, and nobody was selling. Fake out, shake out, VWAP break, 182.50 got you 185. Phenomenal. And now this trade, let's say you're in from that level. When VWAP is this far away from where you're at, then you just go back to pivot points. And everything I'm demonstrating with pivot points and VWAP and all this is what I do for 4 straight hours a day, every day. And from this, you will learn from osmosis. And as I continue to show you, there's only 4 things a stock can do. Dip and rip, rip and roll, chop goes sideways, bullish, chop goes sideways, bearish. There's not much more a stock can do, right? And we just trade all of those setups when they're around VWAP. And that's why this PayX, right, is still a long trade, because we know as VWAPians what we're accustomed to seeing, right? It's trend trading, right? That's what this whole thing's about. What normally happens, take that trade. What normally happens in this situation? After a Faux-Show-Bro VWAP break that breaks the high of the day with multi-day VWAP nearby, what normally happens? Normally we get there. So the long trader who's still in there is got no reason to sell, because the long trader has to see if what normally happens happens. So the risk is here. You just broke the highs, and you got to wait. So let's go back to this open trade, which is still open as well. Aha! You see what I did there? Why is it still an open trade? Because it never broke down, you see? So the rookie trader or the novice or the lay person or the uneducated, right? Oh my God, it's going down. I better sell all I got. Blah, 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 blah. No, that's panicking, baby. You ain't panicking. You know it pivoted from that price right there. That's 818. So until that pullback breaks 818, all this is a pullback to get the other people out, not you. You stuck around. And now that you stuck around, you got paid an extra $140 on that last 1,000 shares because you didn't panic and you had a specific spot. Now, if you haven't sold any, sell, keep the rest, keep your stop here. Or now sometimes what I like to do is I'll raise it up a couple of pennies now that it's tried to sell off. Now I'll use the 820. It's 2 cents. It really is insignificant. It's $10 on the last 500 shares. It's not that big of a deal. But that moment right there, that's what I'm trying to teach. It's not about moving averages. You have the moving average that means anything. There is only one moving average that means anything in an algorithmic world that we trade in now. That's volume weighted average price. It's the only thing that matters. Then it's price. So when you've got the VWAP and the prior day VWAP, that's your guide. And then you're back to now trading price. So now, what do I mean by trading price? Specific prices where things happen. 818 is your out. Target 841. Breaks 841, you're looking for 850. Why? Because that's what happens. Stocks that get through 841, 9 out of 10 times you'll be looking at the next half number. Breaks the half, you're thinking 875. And then 9. See if we get there. How did I just text myself? What is this? That's weird. Well, do you know the answer? No, somebody knew the answer. It was Johnny Dangerously. Thank you. Thank you. You win the prize. $10 gift card. So, yeah, I mean, that's where we're at right now. And if you don't know, like I said, I've been doing this for my whole life. And it's taken me quite some time, and I've had my ups and downs. Not only have I've had more downs than ups, which is sad, but it's true. For all the glorious wins I've had much more heartbreaking, awful losses. Grinded myself out of my own career. You know, that's why now I'm a different person, literally. And you're not going to debate with me whether or not VWAP works or not. Because VWAP literally saved my career and my life, especially as a shorter. Because stocks don't stay down when they break back over the VWAP. And don't take my word for it. Take my word for it. What? Just take my word for it. And that in that moment of enlightenment, I was like, hey, I got an idea. So maybe I should start covering my dumb short ideas and go long simultaneously. And then I was like, hey, how about I just don't short and wait for the turn? Oh, even better. And that's where we're at. And now I just love trading around earnings reports because that's where there's more volume, and more volume, more better. All right? So, all right. So I'm going to sign off for you guys. I know other people got things to do. I'll be hanging out on Stock Twits for another half an hour. And I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time. We'll be doing a couple of broadcasts October 7th, October 9th. Please sign up to my October 9th event if you haven't already. Wait, I see a question. You always look at the nearest pivot on the 1 minute for stop after the bro. Three pivots. That's what keeps you in the trade. So usually it's a faux, a show, and then sometimes if there's another, like the official low of the day nearby, again, it's minimum of 2. I love 3 because 3 usually keeps you in the trade. You know, for instance, I don't know, let's just give me a random symbol. Give me a random symbol. It doesn't have to be random. But let's talk about mob because I finally shorted this thing today. I don't know if anybody shorted it, right? All right, so in this case, right, I'm dying to short this stock. Why? Because I sold it and I'm pissed. And I do think it was a good short, obviously, right? So this was my drone stock. I got you guys in, right, under 250. Sold some at 375, sold some at 5, sold some at 666, sold some at 750. By 750, I was pretty much done with the trade. And then it went to 10 like a good stock should. 750 gets you 10. So I was looking for a blow off top near 10. It broke through 10. But then today, prior day VWAP acts as resistance, confirming my belief. And this is how I trade. It's not, I don't trade what I think because I'm a moron and I think a lot of dumb things. So when I have a thought, I then say, okay, now, mighty VWAP, can you tell me if I'm right or wrong? And the mighty VWAP said, hey, buddy, you might be onto something because yesterday's VWAP is acting as resistance. And if you break today's VWAP, that's where you have to short it using yesterday's VWAP as your out in case you're wrong. Then also validating my dumb idea to short this stock, and you get paid. And that, my friends, is trading. Have an idea, have an inkling, have a thesis, whatever that notion is. Don't put the trade on until the VWAP tells you that you're right or wrong. And then if you do put the trade on and VWAP tells you that you're wrong afterwards, listen to the VWAP. This ain't me. What I try to teach you is to break yourself down, get through that ego, and accept the VWAP for the only thing that matters. And it's true. Because it's the only thing left. It's the only truth left. VWAP doesn't lie. That's why I love sitting in this trading room all day. Because I'm insulated from AI feeding me stories about how New York's on fire and that I should be afraid every day of my life. You go on Twitter for 5 minutes, I'm fighting with, a million people, anonymous morons, and just hate and awfulness. Here, it's all us. We're in control. We understand. It's just math. Ebb and flow and reversions and pressing a few buttons, making some money, hanging out with like-minded individuals, being appreciative of what we have an opportunity to do on a daily basis, and just embrace the love instead of the hate. Because, man, we've lost our way. If we would just take a step back instead of pointing fingers and getting mad, just peace, love, and understanding. And the word that we've completely lost is compromise. Nobody's going to get everything that they want. And if you really want a pleasant society to live in, you have to understand that you have to sacrifice something and the other side has to sacrifice something. If we all sacrifice a little bit to get a little bit of what works for the rest of us, that's called compromise. And that'll save us. And it would be nice if we had leaders that talked about peace, love, and understanding and compromise instead of death and hate and pointing the fingers and blame. My name's Kenny Glick. I'll be running for president in 2028 under the Anarchy Party. And my slogan is, don't be a dick, vote Glick. I would be the greatest president. I am neither a liberal or Democrat, a MAGA. I'm actually, if anything, a Reaganite Republican leading towards anarchy and communism. What? Yeah, what? Communism ain't so bad. I actually have my own philosophy. It's called social communarchyism, but can't get into it right now. I wrote a book. Social communarchyism. You want to know more about it? Sure, I'll tell you about social communarchyism. Socialism, communism, monarchy, capitalism, all rolled up into one. Social communarchyism. If you take the purest form of all of those ideologies, they all work. But corruption is what ruins them. So if you have a fair and just monarch, as I would be, the monarch, social communarchyism, you got the purest blend of socialism, communism, the monarchy. You have to put your faith in me. And of course, our slogan would be, it's my way or the highway. And capitalism, of course. Social communarchyism. Be a part of it. It's going to be fantastic. 2028. Don't be a dick. Vote Glick. All right? All right. I think I got booted anyway. So I'll see some of you guys Thursday night, or I'll see most of you guys tomorrow at 1. Some of you guys in the room. Some of you guys on YouTube. Stock Twits will keep going for another half an hour. We'll see if we can find something to do while we're sitting here. Y'all have a great day. Oh, I think I've been booted anyway, so let me just make sure something's going on here. All right. Namaste. Shut that. Bang. Shut this. Oof. All right, so now I can put the volume up a little bit. Ryan, you should be with me still, right? All right, there we go. All right, so here we are. Let me lower the volume on this thing so we don't get the feedback. Baba Booey, check, check, 1 2 1 2. All right. So yeah, been doing this my whole life, and you know, I don't really exaggerate. It may sound like some of this stuff is an exaggeration, especially 1,105 trades in a row. It's not an exaggeration. If anything, I'm under exaggerating, if that was a word. What we do here is, you know, that saying, you got to see it to believe it. You got to see it to believe it. Sometimes I don't even believe my own bullshit. You know, I forgot what it was a couple of weeks ago. You know, again, almost like that you know, the pullback on path going to my exact price and then going to the exact price again. It's stuff like that where I literally prove the market is rigged and manipulated. And then you see it. And then you can't deny it because it has to be something to it. When you're seeing the ebb and flow to very, very specific prices, not moving averages, exact price, because the market's programmed. So all we do is we try to get in the ebb and flow of the programming and take our money along the way. Because no one's going to buy low and sell high. You're going to buy high and sell as it's going higher. You're going to short on the way down and cover on the way down. Nobody's getting the top and bottom correctly. We're just looking for the meat in the middle. And VWAP is the meat in the middle. It's crazy meat. And, you know, it's trades like this mob short, which, you know, it's very gratifying that it worked. But I wouldn't have put it on just, you know, in my younger days, I would have shorted this stock because I was just angry about selling it too early. And that was just that's an irresponsible trade. So here, what VWAP has done for me is I know I want to short the stock, but 3 days ago it was still showing me bullishness, even though I sold it and I was mad. And then yesterday it showed me a little bit. Okay, this thing looks like it's getting worse. And then today I got confirmation. Yeah, so speaking of confirmation of awfulness, this stock, SRAD, this is my number one holding, right? And as I was explaining to you, and maybe you caught some of this conversation, when you own a stock that's doing well, you don't want anybody to know about it. When you own a stock that's doing well, you don't want to see upgrades. I know that might not make sense to somebody. You're thinking that these guys, they went to school, they do their analysis, they got their MBAs, and they're out there working for you. Sorry to burst your bubble. They're not your friends, and they're certainly not working for you. They're not making buy recommendations because they sat in at their desk crunching numbers and EBITDA and forecasting, and they want to do you a favor and put a recommendation on a stock. No, that's not how it works. How it really works is they were buying it here at 22.50, buying more here at 25.89 because it was breaking out. They're buying more, they're buying more, they're buying more, and now they're up 10 points. And he calls his analyst friend, the hedge fund guy who wants to sell 600,000 shares of his 5 million shares. He said, "Hey man, I got a client that wants to get out of some of this. Yeah, it's kind of a thin stock. Do me a favor. Upgrade it tomorrow and put like a $40 price target on it." I don't even know about this stock. Shh. Doesn't matter if you know about it. Just say they're doing something, blah, blah, blah. You expect some contracts or whatever the fuck you say on your analyst call. Just upgrade it. I'll send you the cash later. Click. Stock was doing fine. And then suddenly it gets upgraded at highs. And I was like, you know what? We probably should lighten up. And it went down. And then it got upgraded again. And then it got upgraded again. And look what it's done since. This ain't a coincidence, friends. This is how it works. They want to try to cushion the blow because they got a seller. All of these trades, it's not like institutions are getting the orders that day. They have their orders days, if not weeks, in advance. And all of what we do is watch them work their orders. And that's why VWAP is the only way to trade, because VWAP is the institutional order flow. So for instance, let's look at SRAT again, as awful as it's been today, right? They're bleeding it to death, right? Just bleeding it. If it turns late in the day, you got yourself a Faux-Show-Bro opportunity. So right now, the Faux-Show got rejected at VWAP. That's telling you institutional seller is still in control. Now that it broke a new low, right? And if you didn't get stopped out or didn't sell some, and now I'm basically flat, I'm looking to trade it again, even though that last leg wasn't too good. But if they're going to Faux-Show-Bro it again, now we got a low entry price around the half number. And then the idea is that it could revert back to the VWAP, which is now that double top area. So, it's kind of setting up. I might give it another shot, even though this thing's a piece of shit today in the last couple of days. But there ain't much going on. And, again, when you have a squadouchi kind of day, the easiest thing to do is nothing, right? Because we're just meandering around right now. And that's the nature of the bear. This is a bear market, by the way. We don't go down. We just stop going up for a couple of days. That's as much as the bears could do. And that's why it's almost comical if you think you're going to be able to make money shorting anything over any extended period of time. I get it. Your new eggs and your fofos, yeah, they were great shorts. But man, this market, it just goes into like sleep mode when it's trying to go down. It just hibernates and then comes out of hibernation and runs. So, not a fan. I'm not getting run over anymore. I spent 3 years fighting this market between 2012 and 2015. I lost big. So if there's a way, I don't know if there is a way, let me see if I can find you guys on the interweb. if you guys got any questions while we're chilling here for 20 minutes, because there's nothing going on. So if you guys got any ideas or stock symbols you want me to look at, fire away. Hey, there I go. I see you. Actually, I think a trade might be setting up right now. If anybody's crazy enough to short the Qs, you see how you got rejected right at prior day VWAP and now you're rolling. Now you short them right now, right at this second, right? Because you got a low risk entry. And if you're right, you're breaking VWAP and you probably will test that half. And then, it's not a crazy idea considering we've been chopping for the last 24 hours, 48 hours to think we're going to chop one more time to the downside. Again, it's not the greatest day for trading right now. We've already had some decent trades. This SRAD was kind of disappointing on the last lot. Wound up taking a small loss actually on the last of that. So we got SLV. SLV, I'm a huge silver fan. I'm not a huge fan of the SLV for trading. AGQ is where I go. I don't own it. I would trade it intraday. I'm more of a commodity. I'm a coin guy, and speaking of that, I just bought some more. I buy every week. I buy a 20 pack of silver coins. I think I got some Achilles silver now. You put a guy with a sword on a coin, I'm in. So much for that Q short. Yeah, wow. We're not going anywhere. Chopping around. I can see what this day has in store for us. But yeah, huge fan of silver. Been buying since 18. Still bought. I buy every week. I buy bullion. I buy rounds. I buy eagles. All kinds of stuff. I got some Star Trek stuff last week. But if you're going to trade, it's usually AGQ intraday. Geo. Uh, well, this was the prison one. This was a great short from a couple of weeks ago, right? Yeah. It got slammed off to that double top. Yeah, I don't like what that looks like because you got where this came from was around 18 bucks. It don't look any good. And what you're looking at there, that's a yearly VWAP. You got rejected 12 or 15 different times. Ain't look Doesn't look pretty if you're swinging it or owning it. You. Yeah, I got my 100 shares of that somewhere. Uh, Big fan. We did very well right out of the gate with this. I just bought the breakout, the double top break last couple of weeks ago, 1350. I only have 100 shares, so I didn't sell it. I was expecting that to go to 20, but you had a blow off top. You broke the prior candle, the blow off top candle. That's super bearish. And now you kind of broke that low. You got to fight back today, or you're probably looking to give it all back to where I bought it, 1375 kind of. But I still like these names. This is more of again, I bought 100 shares kind of as an investment. And if it does fall back to my price, we'll see. What you got? Well, I don't know. Since we've implemented socialism, and our government's taking stakes in private companies and influencing who we buy, what companies who does the hiring. I mean, I never thought Trump was a socialist, but apparently he is because, or a communist, really. I don't want to short stocks that the government's getting involved in, but yeah, it's kind of getting back into that breakout range. If anything, I'd be a shorter under 3250. You see where it kind of broke 3250 and rallied? I mean, shorting anything has become freaking almost virtually impossible. I mean, let's say you just shorted the Qs. I mean, that green candle doesn't really scare you, but it's quite annoying when as soon as you put the short on, you get a green candle in your face. Now, again, proper stops, pivot point, prior day VWAP. So if you are short the Qs from when I first mentioned it, I hope you're still short. That blip is not a reason to get out. That's why we put stops at pivot point, breakdown, prior day VWAP, three stops, and you haven't even flinched yet, right? So now if you don't follow through, if you don't follow through the downside, now you got a new pivot point. So instead of letting it go to there, now you lower it, right? So now let's say you are short, you withstood the one moment they tried to get you out. I'm using the 1 minute and prior day. And then I look at multiple time frames across all weeks, months, even yearlies, just to get an idea of where a stock's been and where their very important VWAP is. But generally, I live within 5 days. 1 minute, and then prior day would be the 1 day. And then I have it set to 5 days. That's why today we got down to the 5 day earlier. And that's usually where stocks will find their support. If you break through 5 days worth of VWAP, usually that's a big indication of trend reversals. So that's a big moment right now. Because if anybody is delusional to think the market could actually go down, I mean, you think, right? We've just rallied from 398 to 602. You think maybe we could pull back, 20 points. You think maybe, but it doesn't happen. But if it's going to happen, it has to break 596 and a quarter, which it held. And then I look at 10 days worth of VWAP, and you got support right at that anomaly candle from yesterday, which is still the same basic price. What I'm looking at now is 20 days worth of VWAP. That is right above, or sorry, there's a, let me show you the real, here's 6 months. So obviously all these sell-offs have been just nothing, right? But there is one specific spot, right? We had a sell-off on the Apple numbers. That was the Apple number, which held prior support, even though that was a really nasty down day when I was in Georgia, leaving this Friday. So far, each time I've gone to Georgia, the market has sold off. I don't know what that has to do with me or the market, but that's why I'm telling you the story. I'm leaving for Georgia on Friday, and the market is kind of in flux right now. So be careful on Friday. This was the last time I was in Georgia. They also had the earnings reversal on Apple, but it held the prior low, which are now seriously generational lows. I don't think these will ever be tested. I mean it. I really mean it. I do think we test recent lows, which is the breakout price meets this price. There's the little wick. That wick price was basically the breakout price. So if you factor all that in, there it is. So there's the 1 month VWAP. That's the most important price, I think, right now going forward. Because if the market's going to try to sell off, maybe we get one more Thursday, Friday. I don't see the market going down. We're making it. We're making it through the seasonal bearishness, and if we can't get bearish when we're notoriously the most bearish, when are we going to get bearish? The answer is never. The answer is never. And we could literally, if we don't sell off soon, we might be on the next leg up is going to take us all the way to April. And I think we get another 15 or 20% to the upside, which is 120 points on the Qs. So you want to sit here trying to make 80 cents on little tiny pullbacks when we're about to blast off another 700, another 120 points? I don't, but I keep doing it because if the setup's there on an intraday basis, I'll give it a shot. But look how it's so difficult to be a shorter right now. Again, you pick your spots, sure, but man, it's becoming unusually difficult, which used to make me more bearish, but it's been unusually difficult to short now for almost 18 months. Everything that I've seen, and we should have this conversation before I leave you. Don Corleone and I have a podcast. You guys know Don, otherwise known as Chris. If you're not following him, follow him. He has he's the opposite of me regarding everything. He loves himself some EBITDA. He loves himself some analysts. He loves fundamental analysis. He loves looking at every possible sign there is to give him an edge, as we say. And he's brought some stuff to our attention that is super bearish. Credit default swaps are up. Who even talks about that? Hedge fund guys are talking about it. But there's an indicator, and if you guys watch our podcast, it's on my YouTube channel called The Trader's Edge. He goes on and on and on and on about all these signs. And these signs that are being flashed right now in the market preceded 2018, where we had a pretty big sell off, COVID, where we had a pretty damn big sell off, the sell off, the Kathy Wood top, and then just as recently, the February selling that started this year. So when something's flashed a warning and has worked the last 4 times, I got to take it under advisement. But then I also say, prove it. Just like even if Warren Buffett told me, hey, buy USRAT, it's getting taken over tonight. I'd be like, I'm going to wait for it to break VWAP. You're telling me that there's going to be some volatility coming? Okay, cool. Let me see it. So then I look over at my friend UVXY up a nickel. No volatility there. I look at my friend UVIX up a penny. Whoa, that's a lot of volatility. So until UVIX and UVXY are flying off the charts to the upside, I'll stick to the idea that this market's never going down. Maybe we get a fart in the wind, 8 or 9 point pullback, which will be a buying opportunity. And, again, that notion is completely against everything that I stand for. I'm waiting. I would love to see the market get hammered, but I'm not going to fight it because I know I've lost and I've continued to lose as a shorter. So when the market tells me it's safe to be a shorter again, I'll short. Right now, yeah, we'll scalp some shorts from time to time, but you cannot be aggressively shorting anything without, getting your ass kicked, or you better be doing it on some pump and dump biotech stock bullshit name. And even stocks like Faux-Show, if you got the timing wrong on a Faux-Show, you got Faux-Show'd up. So let's talk about this QQQ short that you may or may not have on right now, right? It's like the market just goes to sleep. You guys watch the Terminator. Remember when the guy he terminated 2 says, "Why don't you just terminate yourself? Can't self-terminate. It's not in their programming." The market's like the Terminator. So it's trying to go down. It wants to go down. So what do? They just shut it off. It just goes into sleep mode. Can't go down. Not allowed to go down. And then they just kind of just bore you out of the short, or they get to at least the point where you're forced to cover. It's just the most difficult, annoying trade in the world. But right now, you have permission from the market to be short the cues right this second. I don't know if anybody is, but the downtrend's intact. But now, wait a second. While this annoying short trade on the cues has just been initiated, who's got pay X long? Because you're still in it, because it hasn't broke down, and you're still waiting for it to get to 125.75. And that, my friends, is trading. Boring. And you're still in the trade from way back here because you've sold some here, you've sold some here, and now you don't sell anything else unless it gets to 125.75 or you get stopped out. But now you've got a new pivot point area, so you raise your stop to there and you hold on. So yeah, basically it's, I love Thinkorswim because it lets us build our own VWAP charts. It's the most accessible charting out there. TradingView is pretty cool. I was born and bred on Thinkorswim. My programmer uses Thinkorswim the most. His name is Solid Jello, and if you join our room, you'll get to meet the architect of what we do now. He has taken VWAP and ran with it and created an algo that basically gives you where to buy it, the projected move on the upside, and obviously stops on the downside, assuming you're buying. And the same thing on the short side. So if you maniacs are still short the cues right now, and I hope to God you are because it never really got us out. Now at 497.50, what are you supposed to do here? Where's my VWAPians? We got rules here, people. First rule of shorting the cues is you probably shouldn't short the cues. Second rule is if you put the trade on, you better have an exact reason to. Third rule, if it actually starts working, take some money because it ain't going to last. Because shorting the cues is illegal. You better look over your shoulder when you're doing it. Make sure nobody's coming for you. And then make sure you take some money off the table. What kind of average volume are you looking to trade 1 minute? Whatever the volume is. I just look at 1 minute charts because I'm very specific to every minute counts for me. I could put on a 5 minute chart. Sometimes I trade, and actually today's the kind of day where you can go 5 minute watch. 5 minute chart. It's less noise, but you're still short, right? So you're looking for it to break the 5 minute low and get down to here. So by the way, if you're short the cues, right, you should be short the cues, right? This is how trades find you. You don't got to go searching. They just show up. You identify risk. Hey, I could short the cues here at 598.05. Great. At 599, 597.50, you cover a little bit because you got your half point. Usually you're not just taking half point trades, but this is the market where you have to because we're not going anywhere. So you take something off the table when you get the money, and now you hope for more, which I think we're going to get. But if you're short from 598.10, 598.10 is now your stop, and now you could lock into a profit. Know what I'm saying? By the way, I'll give you some other trades to stop. I think StubHub and Gemmy, I don't know why, are going to be good stocks. Gemmy obviously sucks, right? If you own it. We've had 3 decent long trades. Well, one wasn't decent at all. Well, decent. Then I had the stinky one because of course, the time that I bought 4,000 shares was the one that didn't work. But then the it's been all right. You're finding some support down here, and we've picked it off that low. We made money once, but the stock stinks, right? Looks like it's going to roll over and die. But I do kind of like it. But that Andy Dufresne thing that I talk about is starting to form. double top right there. The more it goes sideways, what you want to see it break the new low, come back, get back into that sideways pattern, then break out. And that's when I'm probably going to look to start taking that seriously. But on the other side, StubHub, look at the chart. Look at his face. Look at his face. It's my quant. Look at this chart. Same exact chart. You know why? Because right now IPOs ain't finding any love, which normally would be a moment that you would say to yourself, well, that's bad for the market. Nothing's bad for the market. It's just a moment in time. That'll pass. But StubHub, if you don't know, it's a monopoly. Between Ticketmaster and StubHub, they cornered the market on ripping people off on concert tickets. This will be a good stock. But right now, you want to buy something that looks like that? Nope. You got to wait to see if this thing goes back to 15 or goes to 15 because under 1750, you generally gets 15. Does it hold 15? You go to 1250. 1250 gets you 10. I think I got to go. So nice hanging with you. Email me. Let's get to know each other a little bit better. And maybe you'll be there for our 1106th trade in a row on that wonderful setup that keeps paying us. Right now, got some QQQ short. That's all I got. SRAT, I got blown out of what I had left at break even and a little bit of a loss on what I had left. And that's what we got. All right. Well, if you haven't, let's breathe in the VWAP one more time before we go. And if you are short the Qs, let's go. Breathe in the VWAP. And breathe out the inconsistency. See you next time.